on your right, and then you'll be the third room to the left.
Okay, thank you.
Easy, no problem. You gotta try it.
What's wrong with that?
Excellent. Good job.
So you sit the back of the
I will comfort you. We're grateful, so thank you so much. And again, safe travel.
Currently, we are in the Western Parklands.
no rubbish and and anything that's actually going to be there was going to settle down.
As boring as it ever was.
And it can't be the Nullarbor because there are still trees around. Cheers.
Yes, we've been in a really unique position in the hospitality and tourism industry where we're the events owners and
Could we have a couple of glasses of that?
what you're allowed to do in any state for a long time, and essentially whatever state's the strictest, that's what we're going to align ourselves with. So make it really easier.
There'll be a little sign that comes up.
Recording.
Well, I fell into that burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames, they got higher. And it burns, 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 with a ring of fire, with a ring of fire. Sweet Caroline, your time never seems so good. Sweet Caroline, oh, oh, oh. Good times never seem so good. I just had to sing. I've done all the jumping.
gentlemen, we are now approximately 10 to 15 minutes away from arriving into the Kewdale Yard this afternoon. A little bit of information about Perth itself.